Good morning, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. This is Rich again, back for your first video blog of the day for Wednesday, October 21st, 2015, around 7:01 in the morning in Billerica, Massachusetts. It's going to be a mix and sun of clouds today, highs around 55. So news report, the New York Mets beat the Chicago Cubs by the score of 5-2. The Mets are up 3-0 in the National League Championship Series and could sweep the Cubs tonight. And Seattle Seahawks players Fred Jackson and Marshall Lynch after practice yesterday with speed racing, and Fred Jackson got into an accident and stuff, but both are okay, but they could be facing some disciplinary action from the team for drag racing, because I don't think that's in their contracts. They drag race after practice, so they could be facing some disciplinary action from the Seahawks. And prayers to former Price is Right host Bob Barker, who's recovering from a nasty fall. He's okay, so prayers to him. And it's Happy Hump Day, Happy Woman Crush Wednesday. I have a lot of crushes on women. You know who they are. And it's also Back to the Future Day. The future is here. October 21st, 2015. And my first video blog subject of the day is the review of the 1989 classic movie Back to the Future Part 2. Back to the Future Part 2, science fiction comedy, directed by Robert Zemeckis, produced by Steven Spielberg, Amblin Entertainment, starring Michael J. Fox as Marty McFly Jr. and his Marlon McFly, his daughter in the movie, Christopher Lloyd as Dr. Emmett Brown, Leah Thompson as Lorraine Bates McFly, Thomas F. Wilson as Biff Tannen and Griff Tannen, and Elizabeth Shue as Jennifer Parker. This movie was set in the beginning was set in 1985. This was the ending of Back to the Future Part 1 when Marty McFly opens up that garage for his 4x4, and he was going to take Jennifer out camping at the lake. And then when they were about to kiss, Dr. Emmett Brown came back and said, "Marty, you gotta come back with me. Back to the future." And he was saying he was going to go to the lake with Jennifer and stuff. Bring her too. There's concerns about her. What are we gonna be when we grow in the future? Assholes? No. Something's gotta be done about your kids. And they drive back. You don't have 88 miles per hour. Roads? We don't. Where we going? We don't need roads. And then Biff comes out and he has like match things for Marty that he printed up. And then he sees the DeLorean go 88 miles per hour flying. And he says, "What the hell is going on here?" And then Marty and Doc and Jennifer are in the future, October 21st, 2015. And Jennifer was saying that she's in the future and stuff. She was asking too many questions. Doc had to put something like a thing to calm her down. She was out cold. Marty said that, "What do you do that for?" She says it's a time machine. I had to bring her with her. She's not part of the plan and stuff. And then they head to Hill Valley. They're on the Skyway. It's a flying car. And then they take the exit off the Skyway to get to Hill Valley. And it's raining and stuff. And they drop the DeLorean and stuff. And they put, Jennifer, into a safe place. And the future, I gotta check this out, Doc. And that's what Marty says, but Doc says we're in a tight schedule here. And they says, "What do you mean about my kids? Look at what happens to your son." And his son, Marty McFly Jr., is jailed because he breaks into the Hill Valley courthouse, which was a shopping mall. And he says, convicted within 2 hours. The justice system more swiftly because they abolished all lawyers. But they never did. And it gets worse. You have a daughter that breaks him out of jail, and she gets out for 20 years. This thing sets a chain reaction to stop it. Like, for the family, because Marty has to say no to a guy named Griff. Have to go into the Cafe 80s, which is a nostalgia place, and Doc gives him a 50, but he says to him, do not interact with anybody, do not look at anybody, don't try to do anything. And then Marty sees the future, flying cars and stuff, it's awesome. And then he goes into the Cafe 80s, which is, they don't have any workers, everything is computerized and stuff. They have a lot of pop culture from the 80s and stuff, and Ronald Reagan, and computerized, and some terrorist, and he says he wanted a Pepsi, and then Biff says something, hello, is that McFly, is that you? Biff, you gotta be a loser like your father. And he says George McFly is not a loser, no, his son, who flushed everything down the toilet. And Marty says, he did. And then Griff and his gang come, and then he gets mad because Griff did, with polishing his car, giving him 2 coats of wax, and staying in McFly. And then, Marty Jr. comes, and Marty Sr. has to hide out. And then Pepsi, and then Marty McFly Jr., says with Griff, saying tonight's opportunity, he says, I have to talk to you out of my father. Your father, the Griff's gang attacks Marty Jr. and throws him in behind the thing. And then Marty comes back, Marty tells his son to shut up. And then Marty gets physical. And Marty says, the answer's no, Griff. What's wrong? Chicken? And nobody calls me chicken. And then he gets it, and he tries to beat him up. But they have that's stronger than Marty. And then Marty runs away, and he tries to find a skateboard. Then he takes the hoverboard. And then it's a scene, like a scene from Back to the Future Part 1, where, Marty tries to get from Biff's gang. Now it's Griff's gang, and he goes all over the place and stuff, and this and that, at the action pack. And then Griff, he's in the water, and he's right for the pickings for Griff's gang, and Griff has the pit bulls, like a hoverboard. And then next thing you know, they try to attack him with a bat, but Marty ducks, and then Griff's gang's going to the Hill Valley Courthouse shopping center. They break in, and then Marty runs away, and he says the hoverboard to the girl he got from it, the little girl, keep it, I got a pit bull. She got the Griff's pit bull. And then Doc Brown comes back. He has to get Einie from the past. What in blazes would happen? My son ended up, but then they see what happens, Griff's gang get arrested, and then everything was changed. This future history was altered. But around that time, Marty saw the Cubs win World Series, and he has to go to a store, and he buys a sports almanac, 50 years of sports statistics. And then Marty drops the sports almanac. Doc sees us. What's this? 50 years of sports statistics. Highly recreational reading. Hey, we could know information about future, but that Marty says, but Doc says, I did not invent a time machine for financial gain. And then they see Jennifer and the cops saying that the faceprint, and they said that they had to bring Jennifer to Marty's and Jennifer's future home, Hilldale, and because of this, and they cannot interfere with the cops because they can't say the trans unless they get committed. But when Marty and Doc were arguing, Biff overheard what happened, and Doc Brown says, this day, he says, I did not invent a time machine for gambling. And Biff says, oh, Doc Brown invented the time machine. And then, Doc and Marty go to Hilldale, try to get Jennifer from seeing her other self, because if she sees her other self, she could have like she could faint, plus it could be something that could destroy the time, a paradox that could destroy the whole entire universe. But that's the worst case scenario, Doc Brown says. And then Doc Brown and Marty were being chased by a cab, which Biff was in it, and then they get off the exit of Hilldale, and then like Marty Jr. is home, and like Marlena, who was like their Marty and Jennifer's daughter in the future, and then Jennifer goes into the closet and says, Marty Jr. says, "Hey, Mom, nice pants, Mom." She heads into the closet, and then they have Lorraine and George to visit, and then they have pizza, and then Marty Jr. Sr. comes home. And stuff like that, and then they have a pizza and stuff, and then like Marty and Doc arrive, and Doc has to try to find Jennifer, and Doc warns Marty to stay to guard the time machine because he cannot risk running into his old self. But then Marty's distracted because he sees a dog being walked by no person. That leaves an opening for Biff. He takes the time machine, steals it, goes back to 1955. And then, like, Marty Sr. gets a call from Nito's, which was a friend, because Marty had so many problems, because he got into a car accident, which injured his hand, getting hit by a Rolls Royce. And he suffered a lot of financial problems and stuff like that. And Nito's was saying that to be involved in something, but the judge, who was like the boss, the big boss for them, says it's illegal, I could get terminated. And then Nito says, "Chicken! Nobody calls me chicken! Nobody!" He stands his guard, "I'm in." And then it was okay, because I see him at the plant tomorrow. But then the judge called, terminated Marty McFly Sr. He was so mad. And then Lorraine says this was an office joke. And then Jennifer sees Doc Brown outside saying, "Sneak out," and she does. But Jennifer calls her the old self. And then both of them faint. And then Doc has to seize Jennifer and then grabs her. And Doc says, "Marty, come quick, come quick, come quick." And then Biff comes back with the time machine, but when he gets out of the time machine, he goes, "Oh! Oh!" He falls down. He's erased from the future because something happened. And then they bring back Doc and Marty bring back Jennifer to the DeLorean, and Doc says he's going to destroy the time machine when they're back in 1985, and they go 88 miles per hour, and says, "Are we back?" They almost get hit by an airplane. We're back. And then Doc and Marty bring Jennifer home to her home, but Marty says, "I haven't seen any. I don't remember bars here." And then they bring, and Marty and Doc go to the Lyons estate where Marty lives, but Lyons estate has graffiti on it, same time. And then Doc drops Marty off at his house and says, "Well, if you need me, I'll be at my house dismantling this thing." And then Marty tries to go home. The door to the yard to sneak in his house is locked, so he has to jump it. And when he opens up the window to his room, he trips. But then there was a lady that screams, "Ah!" It was an African American family living in the house, in Marty's house and stuff. And then the girl gets screams, and their father with the baseball bat, and then tries to be, I'm in a sing, it's the White House, you beg it, you sucker. And Marty runs away. "Tell your real estate agent, we ain't gonna be terrorized. We ain't gonna be selling the house. It's an alternate 1985. And Marty runs. He says, "This can't be. He looks everywhere. The police everywhere, smoke, this and that." And then he says, the date, it's October 26, 1985. It can't be. And then he sees a gun. drop it. It's Mr. Strickland. And Marty says, Mr. Strickland, what's going on? Do you know who I am? Marty McFly. Marty McFly. I haven't seen you in your life, but you look like a slacker. But yes, you gave me detention in school last week. Last week, the school burned down 6 years ago. You got three seconds to get off my property. You're the one stealing my newspapers. And then there's a gang trying to shoot Mr. Strickland, but Mr. Strickland ducks, and he gets a bigger gun, and it says, cheapless slackers. Marty runs away. And then he goes to downtown Hill Valley, but it's changed a lot. So much, you know, people walking, lots of cars, lots of smoke, and Marty bumps into Red, who's the drunken homeless man. And he says, crazy drunk production, Red. And then he sees the Hill Valley, like, courthouse. It's now a gambling hotel with Biff's name on it. And then Marty looks at the Biff Tannen Museum, and they show that Biff Tannen's, like, being the history of his family with his, like, grandfather, Mad Dog Buford Tannen, the fastest guns in the West, and the Hill Valley citizen, Biff Tannen, that a day in a races in 1958 got $1 million, and then he becomes more and more like Toxic Wakestein, and like in 1979, he got legalized gambling in the United States and stuff, and the women of his life, like, was married to Marilyn Monroe, but in 1973, he married his high school sweetheart, Lorraine Bates McFly. And Biff Tannen says, third time's a charm. And Marty says, ah! And Biff Schoon says, we could do this the easy way or the hard way. Boom! The easy way. And then Marty wakes up. Mom, is that you? Hey, you know, you've been up here on 3 hours. On the 27th floor. Marty says, 27th floor? You're Mom, you're so big. Lorraine got a lot of cosmetic surgery done and stuff, and she's still drinking. And then Biff goes, Lorraine, there's your father, my father. And Biff says, you should be in a boarding school, you snot-nosed brat. Damn it, Lorraine, we spend a lot of money on your kids, and they screw up. We got the money to afford it. And Biff says, it's not our kids, it's your kids. And Biff's like abusing Lorraine and stuff, and Lorraine wants to leave, but Biff says, if you leave, I'll cut you off with your family. And she's saying that George, her like ex-husband, is the better man than Biff. And then Biff says that if you leave, I'll cut you off from your kids. I'll get your like son Dave's probation revoked. I'll cancel Linda's credit cards. And as for Marty, and he was saying, well, you know what, like your brother Jolie, one big jailbird family. You win. I'll stay. And then Griff and Biff says that I'll be back in an hour. You better not. And then like Marty says, where's my father, George McFly? And Lorraine says, he's been in the same place in 12 years. Oak Grove Cemetery. And then Marty goes to Oak Grove Cemetery. This can't be. And Doc says, it is. I know. And then Doc and Marty go back to Doc's house, and it says, this is not Hill Valley and stuff. And I got some newspapers from the old library in Hill Valley, but it was boarded up, so I broke in. And he was saying a timeline. This is the past, present, and future. Somewhere in this thing, it skewed into this thing, creating a new and alternate 1985. And remember the thing when I'm in the time machine? There's the bag the sports almanac was in, and a receipt, plus the cane that Biff used. And then when we were in the future, Biff stole the time machine and wanted something back to the past and gave it to himself. And he showed him what happens. in 1958, he's the magnifying glass. He knew those sports results and stuff. And it's an alternate 1985 with me and you and I, but reality from other else. And Marty says we'll go back to 2015 and prevent him from doing it, but Doc says we couldn't do that because it was on the alternate timeline. In order to repair the past, we would have to find the exact date Biff got the sports almanac. And he says this time machine, if it could get abused by somebody, if it falls in the wrong hands, it could create everything. And Doc says this has to be destroyed after everything's fixed. And then Marty goes back to like that hotel, and Biff's is like in the bath with a couple of blonde ladies, and they were watching a Clint Eastwood movie, a Western. There's something I have to talk to you about, like Marty says to Biff. If it's money, nothing. It's about Gray's Sports Almanac. And then Biff goes into his office, and Marty's with him. What do you want to know about it? When you got it, it says, I got it on November 12th, 1955. And Marty was saying, that's the day the famous Hill Valley lightning storm. You know your history, kid. How do you know it? My father told me before he had died. Didn't you get hit in a drag race with a manure truck? How did you know? My father told me before I died. And he was saying that I was minding on my own business, and a distant relative comes. He says a distant relative doesn't put a resemblance from him. And he shows me, do you want to be rich, kid? He shows me this sports almanac, and he says, for the rest of the century, bet on the winner, and you never lose. And then he says, I never saw the guy again. And he said one more thing. If there's a kid and a guy who's claiming to be a scientist, ask for that book. And he tries to shoot at Marty. I never thought it would be you, kid. And Marty says, hey, Biff, what is that? He runs away. He tries to attack him, and Biff's doing boom, boom, boom. But Marty ducks. And then Biff's goons come and try to catch Marty, but they couldn't. Marty's jumping around. He goes up to the top floor of the hotel, and Biff says, what is it, kid? Suicide would be nice and neat. Well, that gun would not match what the bullet for the police. Kid, I own the police. It would be poetic gestures. 2 McFlys with 1 gun. You son of a... And Marty tries to fall down. He thinks he's gonna fall down and falls off the top of the roof of the Hill Valley Casino Hotel. But then Doc Brown goes, but he has the DeLorean, and Doc's in it, knocks out Biff cold, and then Marty tells Doc, you wouldn't believe this. We have to go back to 1955. I don't believe it. And they go back to 1955, but then time circuit's on. But then there's some trouble with the time machine. It was saying January 1st, 1885. But then it got fixed to November 12th, 1955. I mean, 1885. And then it's in November 12th, 1955. And they had to it on in the morning and around 6:30. And then they hide the DeLorean in like where the Lions Estate's going to be, where Marty lives. And Doc Brown and Marty says, hey, we have to says it was like yesterday. It was. And Doc says, there are now 2 of you here and 2 of me. The other me is trying to get the other you back to 1985. Remember the thing with the clock in the Hill Valley Courthouse? That doesn't happen tonight, so you must be careful not to run into your other self. I have to be careful running into my other self. He says, get some 50s clothes and try to stalk Biff. And then Marty looks for the only 10 in the phone book. It's an old lady's house, but then Biff's going to get his car, and then it is him. And then Biff's like a bully. He throws a ball for the kids that are playing in somebody else's top porch. And then Biff is trying to pick up his car, which was crashed in a manure truck. And then Biff And Biff, like, says to the person, the mechanic, this is $300. Marty hides underneath Biff's car. And then old Biff from 2015, I says, no more, I remember that. And then Biff sees Lorraine. She gets dressed for the dance that's happening that night, and says, oh, who are you going with to the dance? You could cut me a break with the most handsomest man in school, me. You're going with that bum George McFly. No, I'm going with Calvin Klein. And get your cooties off me. Lorraine kicks Biff and hits him with her dress and says, it's not to be. Someday you'll be my wife. And the old Biff is starting Biff's car. Hey, Tannen, I can make that happen for you. You're gonna marry that girl? Your way with women. Get off my car, you old man. Hey, get in the car. Today's your lucky day. And old Biff drives young Biff to his house. Hey, old man, how do you know where we live? Let's show you we're related. And here's something. You want something to make you rich. The Sports Almanac. And he says, this is information about the future. This could make you millions. And then he shows you, bet any sports event for the rest of the century. The winner, you never lose. And then Biff shows him a score of a college football game. And the announcer says, they're losing. Bet you $1 million this team wins 1917. The announcer says, you lost! It's over! Hey, you know, and they kick, and it's good. Hey, there's no catch to this. And then, old Biff gives young Biff the book. He says, okay, I'll look at it. And then he lays it around. Old Biff says, hey, don't do it like that. It could be taken by somebody else. Hey, if you don't have a safe, get a safe. And keep it like this in here. And there's one more thing. There's a kid and a crazy eye scientist who's one day going to look for that book. And Marty's trapped in Biff's garage. And Marty tries to get Doc. He says, Doc. Doc had to be all day at the DeLorean, the time machine, because he did not want somebody else taking it and destroying, making more future altered. And then like, Doc comes to, like, Biff's house, but Biff already left with Marty in the car. And then eventually they get to the high school and stuff. Doc says, we gotta call this off. It's getting much too dangerous. Your mother and your mother at that same dance, do not run into your other self. And Doc's at, like, Hill Valley Center. And then the Doc from 1955, sir, be a pal, hand me a screw. And he does. And he was talking to him briefly. And it says, you're conducting some sort of weather experiment. Yes. And Doc from 1955 says, it's not going to be raining tonight. There's going to be plenty of rain, winds. It's going to be a hell of some way. We'll talk to you in the future. Maybe in the past. Doc in 1955. He was talking to him, the older self. And then Biff and his goons were trying to find Calvin Klein, who's Marty McFly from 1955, that owes me $300 and stuff. And then Biff was drinking and stuff. And then Strickland caught him. And then Strickland said, hello, hello, Biff Tannen. Nice seeing you too. Is that like I smell? I don't know, because I'm too young to drink. You slacker. One of these days I'm going to get you in a detention. And he says, 50 years of sports statistics. Highly recreational reading. It's homework. It's not because it's school. Actually, Biff substituted Sports Almanac with a girly magazine. And Strickland goes to his office, and he drinks some wine. And Marty follows him to his office and stuff. And then the door of Strickland's office is closed. He thinks somebody sneaks in, but he couldn't find it. Like, Marty's hiding underneath Strickland's office, and next the desk, and next thing you know, like Strickland sees some stuff going on, like cars, and then Strickland with his chair hits Marty's hand, but he doesn't know Marty's in there, and then he's drinking, and afterwards he throws the magazine in, who has a great sports almanac, but it's the girly magazine, and Marty says this is a great thing. Gets the great sports magazine, he thinks it's it, but no, oh no, ooh la la, and Marty talks to Doc, says, I blew the chance, I don't know where Biff is, the whole future depends on you finding Biff in that sports almanac. And he sees this situation with Biff attacking his father, George. I have one chance. My old man's going to deck Biff. And he decks Biff. This is scenes from Back to the Future Part 1. Biff's knocked it out cold. And then Marty, in 50s close disguise, wants to say, let's clear everybody. I know CPR. What's CPR? One kid says. Hey, you... Marty punches Biff. He takes the sports almanac. One of the guys says, I think he took his wallet. And then, like, Biff and Marty, like, goes and attacks Biff's gang. And then Marty goes to the dance in the 50s, but it's closed. The Marty from the other Marty's playing the song like this, and then Biff's gang wants to attack Marty up on stage, and with the walkie-talkies with Doc, he says, "I'm gonna attack me up on stage," and Doc says, "You're gonna have a major paradox if they attack you on the stage. You won't go back to the future, and it could destroy the universe." And then Marty has to go up on top of the stage for Biff's gang to knock him out, so they won't attack Marty playing Johnny B. Good up on the stage. And this is when Biff regains consciousness, and the guy says, "Where is Calvin Klein?" "I don't know Calvin Klein." What? I think he took his wallet. He took his wallet. And then Marty lays out Biff's game. Marty goes back on the thing, but he sees a situation of the other self with his parents getting together. But then Biff comes and says, "Hey, you one-on-one, you stole my sports almanac. Fight it." "No." Biff called Marty a chicken. "What do you say? I am chicken?" Marty from 1955 in a suit knocks out Marty in the 50s clothes, and Biff sees sports almanac. He kicks him out. "You take my stuff, and here is my car for my car damage." Biff takes off, and Marty meets Doc on top of the Hill Valley courthouse and says, "Biff got me. He took the sports almanac, and he says he's going going this way." And Marty wanted to crush Biff's car, but he's driving the thing. He would crush us like tinfoil, as Doc would say. And then Marty gets the hoverboard, and he's attacking Biff and stuff, and he tries to get the sports almanac. Biff attacks him, and then somehow Marty gets the sports almanac, and they go under the tunnel. Biff is trying to grab it and stuff, but Marty is continuing to it. But then the manure truck comes, and then the next thing you know, as Biff was going to crush Marty, a thing comes down with a flag with the DeLorean flying high. Marty grabs it, and Biff says, "Oh shit!" Biff crashes into a manure truck, and Biff says, "Manure! Manure! I hate manure!" Yes! And then Marty gets back in. Marty is landing at Lion's estate, and he has the walkie-talkie with Doc. Doc says, "Burn the sports almanac." He does burn the sports almanac, And some things changed. That match things has like from Griff's Casino to Biff's auto detailing. There's newspapers that says with George McFly, local author murdered, local author honored. And it had a thing with Doc Brown. Science is committed. Scientists wins an award. Everything's back to normal and stuff. Oh yeah, I have to make a close one. Yeah, but then Doc gets something hits it, and that was crazy. And Marty says, "Be careful! You don't want to be hit by lightning." Doc Brown gets hit by lightning. Next thing you know, the DeLorean's gone. Doc, would you eat me? Doc, would you eat me? And then Marty's crying and stuff. And then there's somebody driving. And it's somebody from Western Union saying, "Are you Marty McFly? I have something for you. Can't be." And he says, "I have a letter for you. We've had this letter for 70 years." And it was a letter that Doc wrote. He was in Old West, 1885. And the guy from Western Union says, "Do you need any help, kid? There's only one man that could help me." And then Marty races to downtown Hill Valley Center, and the experiment of like the scene from Back to the Future 1 where Marty goes back to 1985, and then Doc's cheering and stuff like that, and the ending has like Marty running back. Doc! No, I thought I sent you back to the future. It can't be. I went back to the future, but I'm back. Great Scott. Doc from 1955 goes down, out cold, and Marty, that's how Back to the Future 2 ended. That was one of the greatest, one of the most funniest movies and science fiction movies of all time. Some of the things that they had, like hoverboards and flying cars and getting clothes dried in an instant and food cooked in an instant, not available yet, and with the kind of a little bit of like talking through computers, kind of Skype version that was good. And this was probably one of the best sequel to a movie of all time and stuff. Very, very funny. And October 21st, 2015, that's today. And this is probably one of the best science fiction movies of all time, in my opinion. And it's 2 thumbs up. And soon I'll be reviewing Back to the Future Part 3. And that's about it. Keep calm, everybody. I'm a Julie Brennan guy. Molly Rosenblatt of Fox Today 5 rocks and has nice legs. Amy Swemsey of Reach 2 rocks. Elizabeth Hart so stunning. And in the words of Sean Lucha, get out! See you later!